A long time ago, in a quiet village called Obinna, there were very big trees called Iroko trees. The wind in this village could tell stories, and the red sun on the ground had seen many brave warriors walk by. This village was full of people who loved their land and followed old ways passed down from their fathers and mothers. In this same village, there lived a young prince named Obinna. He was not just any prince, he was strong like a lion, fast like a cheetah, and very brave. His father, King Udoka, was the king of the land. Everyone loved the king and respected him. And because Obinna was his son, the people believed that one day, he too would become king. But Obinna was not just strong in his body, he had a kind heart. He always wanted to help people. He loved his people and wanted to do good things for them. But sometimes, Obinna felt something was missing inside him. Even though he was praised and loved, he didn't feel happy all the time. He wanted something more, something to make his heart full. He had gone to many wars and had won many fights. People sang songs about him. But after all that, Obinna still felt empty. He wanted to find something that made him smile for real. Maybe it wasn't a sword. Maybe it wasn't a crown. Maybe it was love. Yes, love, the kind that makes your heart sing and your legs shake. And this is where our story begins, not with a fight, but with a prince who was about to find something more powerful than any weapon. One hot afternoon, the whole village of Umuagbara came alive. Everyone came out from their houses. They were clapping, dancing, and shouting. Why? Because Prince Obinna was coming home from war. He had fought bravely in a faraway land and had won. The women sang songs. The men beat the drums. Children danced around, singing his name. Obinna the brave. Obinna the lion, they shouted with happy voices. His armor was dirty with dust, but everyone still saw him as their hero. But while everyone else was smiling, Obinna wasn't. He waved to them, but in his heart, he felt sad. He had won the war, but he didn't feel like he had won anything for himself. He felt like something big was still missing in his life. Later that day, the king called Obinna to his big room in the palace. The king was wearing his red cloth and shiny beads. He looked at Obinna and smiled. "My son," he said, "you have done well. You have made our land proud. Now, it is time to get married. Choose a wife from the daughters of the rich chiefs. A man without a wife is like a tree with no roots." Obinna bowed his head and answered, "Yes, my father. I hear your words. But please, let me follow my heart." The king looked at him for a while. Then he nodded. He knew his son was not like others. He had a big heart and a deep mind. A few days after the prince returned, he went into the forest. He said he wanted to hunt animals, but truly, he just wanted to be alone and think. The trees were tall, and the sun could not even touch the ground. Birds were singing. The wind was soft. And then, he heard something special. A sweet voice. It was not a bird. It was not the wind. It was a girl, singing an old village song. Obinna followed the sound. He moved quietly, careful not to scare anything. And then he saw her. A girl, sitting beside the Onenzu stream, washing yam peels inside a round bowl. She was wearing a simple wrapper. Her skin was brown like fresh palm kernel, and her eyes were shining like stars in the water. Her name was Adis. She was the daughter of Motsi Okri, the village carpenter. Her family didn't have money, but Adis had something money could not buy: joy. She laughed like she had no worries. She smiled like the sun lived inside her. Obinna stepped closer and said, "Your voice is like the night bird's song." Adis looked up. She was a little surprised. Then she laughed and said, "And you sound like someone who has never fetched water before." They both laughed. And in that moment, something soft and sweet began in their hearts. The prince had found something stronger than war. And Addis, she had found someone who looked at her like she was a queen, even though she had no crown. Very soon, people in the village started talking. They saw Prince Obinna going to the stream every day. They saw him helping Addis carry firewood. They saw him smile like a small boy when he was near her. The news spread like wild bushfire. The prince is in love with a village girl, the market women whispered. The palace was not happy. The queen mother heard it and spat on the ground. A carpenter's daughter, she shouted. How can the future king marry a poor girl who sells akara by the roadside? The chiefs were angry too. He should marry a chief's daughter, not a common girl, they said. But Obinna did not care. Every morning, he went to Addis' house. He sat on the wooden bench outside her home. He greeted her mother and even helped peel cassava. He stopped wearing his shiny prince clothes. He wore plain wrappers, no crown. He didn't come with guards. He came as a man in love. The villagers were shocked. They had never seen a prince behave this way. One day, Addis looked at him, her eyes full of tears. You are a prince, she said quietly. I am just a simple girl. Your people will never accept me. Obinna gently held her hand and replied, I have fought many battles. But now, you are the only one I want to fight for. And just like that, their love grew even stronger. Not everyone understood them, but their hearts didn't need permission to love. The prince had chosen his heart over the crown, and that scared the people who only understood power. The love between Obinna and Addis made many people angry. The village elders called a big meeting at the palace. The king sat on his throne, silent. The chiefs shouted, This is wrong. A future king cannot marry a poor girl. What will people say? One of them stood up and said, if the prince marries her, he cannot sit on the throne. Some people in the village clapped. Others looked sad. Even Addis' family began to receive threats. Send your daughter away, someone said. Hide her. Obinna heard everything. He was not afraid. He stood up and went to the big palace meeting. He removed his royal beads. He dropped them on the floor in front of the elders. But he stood tall like a real king. I went to war for this land, he said. I have scars to prove it. I carried our flag into battle. But now, you want to punish me because I love someone with a good heart. The whole hall was quiet. Obinna's voice was calm but strong. If I must lose the throne to love her, then let the throne wait. I choose her. Everyone was shocked. The queen mother gasped. The chiefs didn't know what to say. Obinna walked away. For one whole week, the village was quiet. Then one morning, the king invited the chief priest to consult the oracle, the wise old man who spoke to the gods. After everything he came out and said, the gods have spoken. Addis is not just a common girl. She carries royal spirit. Her heart is pure. Her soul is strong. The gods accept her. And just like that, the storm became still. The people stopped shouting. The chiefs lowered their heads. Even the queen mother said nothing. Love had won. A full moon rose in the sky. The whole village of Umuagbara was filled with joy. Drums beat from morning till night. Fires burned gently, cooking jollof rice, pounded yam, and thick egusi soup. The air smelled sweet. The village had never seen a wedding this big. It lasted for 7 full days. People came from other villages to watch. At the center of it all stood Obinna, the prince, dressed not as a warrior, but as a groom. And beside him stood Addis, the girl from the stream, the one who once sold akara. But now, she wore a wrapper of gold, her hair full of coral beads, and on her head, the queen's crown. The same chiefs who once shouted at her now danced and sang. They sprayed her with cowries and hugged her with smiles. Addis' parents cried happy tears. The king clapped his hands and shouted, "Today, we do not just crown a queen, we crown love." Obinna didn't carry a sword. He didn't wear his warrior shield. The only thing he carried that day was Adi's hand. The two of them stood in front of the whole village, smiling. Everyone cheered. Everyone sang. Even the queen mother danced a little. And from that day forward, Obinna became king, not just of the land, but of hearts. Adi sat beside him, not because she was born rich, but because she had a rich heart. And the people saw that sometimes, love doesn't care where you are born. Love just happens. And when it is true, not even the strongest spear can stop it. They said love cannot conquer tradition. But in Umuagbara, one warrior's heart rewrote destiny. For even the sharpest spear bows to the power of true love.